All right, welcome everyone. It's November 15th to Redevelopment Commission for the City of Bloomington. We're gonna jump right in and go into roll call. Commissioners.
Cindy Carney here.
Deb Hutton here.
David Walters here.
Deborah Meyerson's here. I wasn't able to unmute myself briefly, but
I was like, you're ruining the order, Deborah.
I'm here though.
Yeah. Nick Kappas here. Staff.
John Zodi with hand.
Sheila Finley hand.
Jeff Underwood, City Controller, Treasurer.
Larry Allen, Legal Department.
Alex Crowley, Economic and Sustainable Development.
Okay. I think that's everyone. All right, let's just jump into item number 2, which is reading of the minutes for October 18, 2021, and executive summary for October 18. Oh boy. Good job getting that off there. Commissioners, any comments not on that, but on the reading of the minutes?
This is David Walter. I've read through them. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes for October 18th and also executive summary for October 18th.
Deb Hutton, and I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Go to roll call.
Waiting for Cindy.
Yeah, Cindy. Yeah. It looks like Cindy is not on.
Okay,
So-
Deb Hutton. Aye.
Deborah Meyerson, yes.
David Walter, yes.
Nick Kappas, yes. All right. Minutes have been approved. Going on to item number 3, examination of claims. October 15th, 2021 at for $230,973.72, and for October 29th, 2021 for $2,230,386.16. Commissioners, any comments or questions for staff about these? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
This is David Walter. I'll make a motion. We accept the claims.
Deborah Meyerson, I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Let's go to roll call.
Deb Hutton, aye. Yes.
Deborah Meyerson, yes.
David Walter, yes.
And Nick Kappas, yes. All right, claims for October 15th and October 29th have been approved. Examination of payroll registers, item number 4 for October 22nd, 2021 for the amount of $34,130.86, and November 5th, 2021 for $34,149.62. Commissioners, once again, any comments or questions for staff? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion.
Deborah Meyerson, I'll make a motion to approve.
David Walter, I'll second that motion.
All right, we've got a motion and a second on the roll call.
Deb Hutton, yes.
Deborah Meyerson, yes.
David Walter, yes.
Nick Kappas, yes. Okay, payroll registers for October 22nd and November 5th have been approved. On to item number 5, report of officers and committees. Director Zodi, you're up to bat.
Thank you, Mr. President, good evening, commissioners and members of the public and staff. Just 2 items for you tonight. As David mentioned, if you had gotten on prior to the meeting beginning, I did a housing report for the city council on November 3rd. I think it went well, took lots of questions from council members. It was a productive discussion. We should also see some movement soon on the Real America retreat at Switchyard apartments down at Switchyard Park. Real Americas are developer there. So we are, the demolition of the old Night Moves building is pending. And so should see that before too long. Hopefully it'll be a nice Christmas present for us all to see that building out of here. So stay tuned on that. But other than that, we are just submitted our annual CAPER report, as it's called, which is our annual report for the department to the U.S. Housing and Urban Development Department. that went up for public comment for 2 weeks and was submitted last Thursday on the 11th. So lots going on. You're in hand as usual. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, on to legal with Larry. Mr. Allen?
Yeah, it's an eventful evening this evening.
Yeah, just a bit.
The only report I have is just to note, we had talked about this being the annual informative presentation. And so I think you were all made aware, but that has been postponed till the first week of December, so December 6th meeting. And that's mainly so that, although it's not required by law, we like to give plenty of notice to the adjoining governing bodies so that they can participate potentially and attend. So we're just going to make sure that we have 2 weeks notice sent out for that ahead of that meeting beforehand. Otherwise, I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Nope.
I thought I accidentally muted everybody again. So.
No, you're good. Yep. All right, no questions for Mr. Allen. On to Treasurer's report. Mr. Under, you're here.
Good evening. I am here. Yes, and clothed. So
well, it's always a great day when you were able to join. So thank you for getting here today.
No report other than we'll, as Larry said, the annual report and training that will be next time. And happy to answer any questions as they come along.
Okay, fantastic. Looking forward to that. Really looking forward to that next one. All right, and on to business development updates. Director Crowley.
Hi, Alex Crowley, Director of Economic Sustainable Development. Two things. One is just Commissioner Canarney is having trouble dialing back in. She's trying, so she's dropped off temporarily, just to let you know. The only thing I would say is that we are meeting with the Economic Development Administration on Thursday of this week. If you recall, the EDA grant was awarded, and so this is the official kickoff meeting for that project. Happens on Thursday afternoon. We will read out to you after that meeting to give you a sense of what the project scope looks like, et cetera. But this is the formal kickoff with them, several hours of I'm sure we'll cover a lot of different topics, but I'm sure it'll include things like reporting and project parameters and so forth. So that'll be happening, and look forward to coming back to you with a little bit more detail after that's happened.
And for commissioners, I will be on that call representing the RDC. So, all right. Well, that concludes item 5, report of officers and committees. So there's no questions by commissioners for any of the reports. We're going to go into item 6, which is new business. We have 4 resolutions today. And we'll just jump straight into resolution 21-84, which is the approval of additional funds for emergency home repairs. I believe Director Zodi, you're going to handle this one.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So, commissioners, if you'll, I guess not all of you were on the RDC just yet. So, hand administers the emergency home repair program is funded by the Community Development Block Grant federal program. And on occasion, we get repairs that come in that are quoted ahead of the cap that is allowed in the program guidelines. In this case, for a manufactured or mobile home, it is $3,500 is the cap that is allowed per repair, per emergency repair. And we have 2 households in need that we are asking your approval to exceed those caps. One mobile home requires replacement, basically the subfloor. There's been some plumbing leaking, and to make that home livable, it would require about $4,700 in repairs. So it would be an additional $1,600. The second household is in need of an HVAC system. And so as we are heading into the cold months here, we believe this is a a proper use of the excess and regulation, if you will. So we're asking you to approve an additional amount of money to make those repairs for those two mobile homes. The RDC did this last year around this time for another HVAC project in a mobile home. And so there's some precedent here, but when the time calls for the program guidelines to be exceeded, then we come before the RDC. I will say that we are taking a look at whether we need to look at revising these guidelines. Material costs are way up, as all of you know, and so we think it's worth a look. That is part of the reason that this is being brought to you tonight, because the new HVAC system, new furnace, air conditioning unit costs a lot of money, and so that's the reason that these costs have come in the way they are. Plus, they're pretty extensive repairs. So. Anyway, that is the background on this. I appreciate your consideration of this tonight.
Thank you for that, Director Zeddy. All right, any questions from commissioners?
I have a question, Deborah Meyerson. I noticed that the efficiency of the furnace and I'm assuming the air conditioning too for the 2 units are 80%. Just curious why a higher efficiency isn't considered and what the cost difference might be.
I can find out, Commissioner. I don't know. I think that was what the contractor estimated for us. I don't know what discussions going on about efficiency, but I can certainly find out and get that information for you. I can get in touch with John, our program manager there. So I'd be glad to do that.
Thank you. And the reason I ask is because obviously greater efficiency is going to be lower utility costs, and that's an important resource that would hopefully pay off on the longer term.
Sure.
Anyway, so just it seems like that would be a worthwhile consideration, but I just wasn't sure, not having come across this program before, or at least while on the RDC, just attempting to acquaint myself as well.
And that's a good question. Let me find out if those conversations were had, and I'll close the loop with you.
Okay, with that question, where does that leave us? Should we go ahead and approve the expenditure of funds? And then if it seems to be economic sense to increase the cost of the contract to get a better furnace at 90 plus, or typically your air conditioners are SEER 13, but there is some advantage to going up to 16. Do you want to come back and ask for a supplement to that? Or should we table this for 2 weeks when it's getting cold and they need heat?
I'm not sure if you're directing that question to me, David, but I will say that the units are getting scarce. We talked about this before the meeting, and I'm not trying to put any pressure on you, but just to let you know what the conversation was with our program manager. Upon the RDC's actually, we'll let the contractor know so the unit can be ordered, because I think they are getting scarce. And so I would like to resolve this evening if possible, and I can call John Hewitt right now if that helps. But I would encourage action on it tonight if you're willing to consider approval here.
Yeah, and I second what Commissioner Meyerson has said. I think as you said, you're going to be redoing the procedure, the process. You're taking a look at it for these types of instances, and I think looking at that, giving us options at that higher efficiency level is something that I think this body would really appreciate. Specific, but I do think that this is more of an emergency situation, especially with how cold it's getting. So I think that we should, while we definitely want higher efficiencies, because I do agree it's lower on the monthly. I think we have to weigh, do they need heat right now when it's like it is outside and not going to get any better? Yeah, go ahead, Deborah.
I agree with that observation. One question I'm wondering is if it's hard without having a quote, and obviously again, there's the urgency of ordering the unit, but I was wondering is it possible, let's just say if there was a cap we could put, say if a 90% plus unit would cost no more than, for example, 15% above the quoted amount, would that be an option to consider? Just trying to see if we could do both. And now it may just be necessary to do it in the future, and that's okay, but I'm just trying to understand what options might exist to approve in an expeditious manner, but also to potentially improve the efficiency.
I'll jump in and say, why don't you, yeah, I think it would be wise to go ahead and say a not to exceed amount, subject to coming back after the fact and getting approval. That way, if it's within so many dollars, then that would let John go ahead and get the work done. I would suggest $1,000, just because knowing, as John said, units are getting very scarce. I know this issue's come up. I just can't remember what the answer is, Commissioner, on why there was a difference between the 80 and the 90. And I know it was when Doris Sims was the director, because we had the exact same issue. It was an 80 versus a 90. And there was a justification behind that. But I would suggest 1,000, and then subject to us coming back and getting the revised amount approved.
Okay, so what we would need to do then, in the fourth whereas in the resolution, we would need to add an $1,000 to the 6895. So we need it to be revised to 7895. Which is an increase of, and replacing the 3 to a 4 to a 4395. So
Nick,
is that correct? Sure. Yep.
I just talked to John Hewitt. He's unsure. He's going to talk to Bates Mechanical about if there's a higher efficiency available for a mobile home unit. So we don't know that tonight. So I think your discussion was about raising the cap if necessary. So we will have that conversation and go back. And I'll leave you alone now.
No. That's good detail. So Commissioner Myerson, does that make sense? So if we were to raise the cap, you would have to put forward a motion editing this, and then it'd have to be a seconded and approved that way.
I would like to, I don't know if I'll word it exactly, but I can give the basic, I'm looking at the quote. I'm just going to move back up to the resolution. I'd like to propose an amendment that would allow, if a greater efficiency of 90% or more could be achieved, to raise the funding addition by $1,000 if that greater efficiency can be achieved and approved. Is that, so again, I'm proposing an amendment, but it may need to be fine-tuned for the wording and placement because I'm doing it ad hoc.
Yeah, and again, I would just add that the staff come back for your final approval once we know the exact amounts. That way,
Yeah,
the commission's actually taken action on the actual amount.
Okay, so this would be to amend section 2 of the resolved portion of the resolution to amend it to say that the board, contingent upon staff coming back and receiving board approval, that the total additional amount be increased to $6,195 if and only if a greater efficiency of an air conditioning unit can be found, or a heating or air conditioning unit can be found. Is that correct?
That's my proposal.
Okay. Well, with those eloquent words by Mr. Allen, do we have a motion and a second for resolution 21-84?
I'll make.
Or do we have it? I'm sorry,
Is that the
Director Myers.
motion? Did I already make it?
No, I can. Well, I can't make a motion, but I actually skipped over the fact that we need to, if there's any discussion on that amendment. So are there any commissioners that would like to comment on that amendment?
Sounds good to me. I'll second the amendment.
Okay. So Mr. Allen, do we have to vote separately on the amendment, or can we include it in a and a motion to approve the resolution.
You can approve the resolution as amended if you want.
Okay.
Just to condense those. Since there
Yeah,
was very little
that'd be
discussion.
fantastic. Okay. So coming back, Commissioner Myerson, if you could restate that motion as an amended motion, as an amendment with the resolution as a whole, that'd be fantastic.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve resolution 21-24 as amended in our previous discussion.
Okay, so we have a motion.
This is David Walter. I will second that motion with the amendment.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Let's go ahead and go to roll call. And we lost Commissioner Hutton. So
okay, Deborah Myerson, yes.
David Walter, yes.
And Nick Kappas, yes. So resolution 21-84 has been passed. Okay. Resolution 21-85, approval of addendum to design consultant contract for First Street reconstruction projects. Who's up?
Hi, Patrick Durgas, Engineering Department. I'm not sure how familiar you all are with this project, but this is First Street reconstruction from College Avenue to most likely Fairview Street. Resolution 2079 approved the funding for $4,935,959.03. And at the time, the design contract was $720,959.03. And as we progressed the design, the original intent of the design was not to require any additional right-of-way other than the right-of-way required from IU Health, which was going to be under the IU Health purchase agreement for the property. And so all of that land was going to be basically a donation, and we wouldn't need right-of-way services for it. However, as the design progressed, we realized the grade changes on the road were going to require the need for private property. And so this is the first step in assessing the value of that private property. And then from there, after the approval of the environmental documents for this project, we will be coming back with another amendment for the final right-of-way services that we right now would only be guessing at. So we'll wait until we have the environmental document to be able to finalize the right-of-way services. So this will increase the design contract by 8,000. Sorry, I lost my numbers real quick. By $8,070 to a new value of $729,029.03. Is there any questions for me?
Do we have any questions for engineering? My question is, so for this 8,000, I see it's broken down. So half of it is for appraisal, and then a quarter of it essentially is for review of those appraisals, and then last little bit is for problem analysis. So is that a pretty standard rate? This is something that we don't, none of us, I mean, I'm not gonna speak for David. I've never seen this before. So is this a standard rate? And what does the quantity of 6 mean?
So there are 6 private property parcels that we will need some right of way from. These rates, because of this being an NDOT LPA contract, are actually set by NDOT. And so these rates are the approved rates that started in January 2021. And so everyone has to charge the exact same, no matter who we use. And for the federal purchasing requirements, we have to do an appraisal and a review appraisal. And the appraisal problem analysis is also required. the appraisal pro analysis looks at, is there other design changes that we can make to not impact these properties, to possibly reduce the need for the right of way or the purchase. And so that's what they'll look at as they go through this. But these are what are required per our federal funding, and it's actually how the engineering department does its purchase of all of its properties. We follow the same federal requirements. So only in temporary do we change between a federal project and a local project.
Okay. All right. Any additional questions for engineering? Not seeing any. Move to public. If there's any public that have any comments on this matter. Not seeing anything. So back to the commission. Final comments and or motion are in regards to resolution 21-85.
This is David Walter. I'd like to make a motion. We accept resolution 21-85.
This is Deborah Meyerson. I'll second that motion.
All right, motion and a second. Let's go to roll call.
Deborah Meyerson, yes.
David Walter, yes.
And Nick Kappas, yes. Resolution 21-85 is approved.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. All right, moving on to resolution 21-86, approval of funding for an HVAC improvement for the Dimension Mill. Sounds fun. Is this Dr. Crowley?
It is.
All right.
I promise not to bring kitty cats in weird shapes with me. You'll see in the resolution, there's a bit of a history to this project, starting with the RDC renovating the mill. But basically let me try to sort of distill down the situation for your benefit, which is that the renovation was completed, everything seemed fine, people moved in, and then about sometime in about 2019, late 2019, a weird smell started emanating out of the floor of at least one suite and sort of trickling into the suite next door. And it was really strange and somewhat inexplicable. A fair amount of work was done in 2020 and into early 2021 to figure out exactly what might be happening. And in fact, the RDC approved a resolution for some environmental testing and also the implementation of a radon system, because part of the issue was potentially tied to that. The good news is that the smell is non-toxic. It doesn't provide a health hazard. The bad news is it's pretty disruptive to anybody trying to work in the affected suite. And also the suite next door is having some residual effect as well. So basically, we're trying to fix this problem, and what appears to be the case, although this is a bit hypothesis, is that a long time ago there was some machinery that was probably located in that part of the mill, and for years may have seeped into the ground there. And it's just so deep and so far in there, and it's just, you just can't seal it up. You can't get rid of it. So what the next step in this process is going to be to do, and this is what's in front of you today, is to install essentially some air handling equipment to ventilate the smell before it becomes substantial in the suite. So 3 bids were gotten. HFI was the lowest bid. And the plan would be to put this in with your approval and see if we can get rid of this problem. It's not eliminating the root cause of the problem. It's really mitigating the effects of the problem. So that's what's in front of you today. And Larry, feel free to jump in on top of my high-level summary if you want to add anything.
That seems to be basically it.
Okay. Any questions for staff by commissioners?
This is Deborah Meyerson. Just wondering, is there any kind of warranty that would come with the installation, even like in the first year or so, that if there were any, since it's obviously kind of a moving target and it's mitigation rather than remediation, just trying to understand, you know, how, if this best guess doesn't quite do it, is there anything that would be as part of this contract to help oversee it for, again, at least like the first year or so?
I would just say the warranty for the HVAC equipment will be just for the HVAC equipment itself. You know, we had been working with VET Environmental to kind of locate, kind of as Alex alluded to locate the source for the smell, and no specific source has been identified. The one other item that we would ask, and we'll actually have the mill do themselves, I believe, is just to seal the floor there also in addition. But if we can't identify the smell, certainly any warranty though would go towards the equipment that's being installed itself. It's just no guarantee that it will 100% take care of it. I mean, we did this in consultation. We're not just making up the process, of course, but we're doing it in consultation with VET Environmental and you know, the HVAC providers, in this case HFI, for what's the right sizing, what's the right turnover rate for the air. The best guess that we had was, one of the things is in the design of the building, these offices were initially to be open air to the broader mill. And so there's not a smell in the broader mill. And we think it's just dissipating through the natural HVAC system and through the natural system. But because these were sealed all the way up to the ceiling, that it's kind of trapping it into this one like very localized space. And so that's why kind of going with the air moving option, in addition to some extra filtering, we think is going to solve this particular problem. And it allows the offices to maintain their privacy, so we're not cutting giant holes in the walls so that you could hear conversations from your adjoining office neighbor.
So is this adding maintenance, like a annual maintenance now to this building that we're going to take care of?
I don't think it's going to add much to the maintenance cost for this particular. I mean, it'll be another component potentially in the future, but I don't know that it's going to add like an annual maintenance cost for this particular system. The system, once it's installed, will operate just as the regular HVAC system.
This is David Walter. I think Larry missed his calling. He should have been a mechanical engineer.
Yeah, did a good job
with that description. I do note that it has MERV 8 2-inch pleated filter, so that probably would need to be changed out whenever. But
probably every 6 months or something like that.
Yeah, I've got a pleated filter on my furnace. It's an annual thing. But yeah, it looks like really the solution here is to ventilate a lot and get that air filtered. And if that makes these rooms usable and livable, then I'm all in favor of it.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have to do it. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I mean, if you have unused space because of something that's not really, I mean, if you can't mitigate it because it's so deep in the ground or even in the walls, maybe, what are you going to do other than tear it down, which we're not going to do. So with that, any more questions for Director Crowley? If not, I would go to public for any comment on this resolution. Not seeing anything from public, so let's go ahead and back to the commission for final thoughts and motion.
This is David Walter. I'll make a motion to accept resolution 21-86.
Deborah Meyerson, I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Let's go to roll call.
Deborah Meyerson, yes.
David Walter, yes.
Nick Kappas, yes. All right. Resolution 21-86 has been approved. Even though it's been approved, I just want staff to know. I mean, this keeps coming up. So I think from a preventative measure this is just something that in the future for the commission to know is to keep track on how much this specific one might keep coming up, and maybe we have some strategy sessions together, because if we keep pouring money into this and it's not fixing anything, we just might have to go a different route. But I'm glad that we're doing this route. Hopefully it does fix it. All right, resolution 21-87, approval of offering sheet for redevelopment commission owned property located along Cottage Grove Avenue. Who's this? Director Zodi? Anyone offering the?
I can give it a stab, and then John wants to join in, or John, if you want to present, that's fine.
Why don't you go ahead, Larry, and I'll back you up if needed.
Okay, so there are a handful of parcels along Cottage Grove that the RDC had obtained when it was part of the Department of Redevelopment long before in the 1980s. The idea, I believe, was that Cottage Grove was going to be widened. That project was either completed or just never come to fruition. So we've had this like extension of small parcels of land along Cottage Grove Avenue. We've taken a couple of those over the years, at least one in my time here, and worked out a sales agreement with Habitat for Humanity so that the lots could be subdivided into two, and so that there could be greater housing. We thought it might be in the best interest of the public because we've had inquiries from the neighbors about whether we would ever offer these for sale. And so what this notice does is allow us to give official offering up these parcels for sale to abutting landowners, which creates a potential for almost doubling the number of lots in that little area for additional housing in near the downtown. These lots currently are appraised for about $100 a piece, not about $100 a piece, actually, specifically, which would set the minimum offering price. However, under statute, anybody who purchases the pieces of land would also have to pay any and all costs associated with the sale, so including reimbursement for advertising, any closing costs. This particular ordinance, let me pull up here specifically. I think in the notice we have a potential of offering up to $2,000 for each one. As I said, the $100 is the floor for the offer that we could sell. So we could either offer these at $100 plus all of the closing costs, or we can go up to a reasonable value that we believe that they could go for. Originally, well, not originally, but about 5 years ago, the properties were appraised at approximately $2,800 a piece, and that has been lowered to $100 under the appraisal system. So that's the change here. And as you can see, we're offering these in a group just for efficiency purposes. And then what we'll do is it has to be posted, give it 10 days for anyone to respond, including the abutting landowner. If the abutting landowner is the only bidder, then we're allowed to negotiate specifically with the abutting landowner.
Okay. This is new. Never seen anything like this before. So, any questions for city staff by commission?
This is Deborah Meyerson. I'm wondering, as I recall, I don't believe Cottage Grove has sidewalks. Is that correct?
Doesn't look like it per this picture.
I don't believe that they do.
Okay, just because I'm asking, because if this was originally acquired for a potential, right of way, just wondering how that would affect the capacity if these lots were sold to private owners, if that would relinquish the capacity of the right of way to accommodate sidewalks sometime in the future.
So that ship may have already sailed, Commissioner Meyerson, because specifically there were two other lots, at least I think it's 3 at this point. Just pulling up my map here so I can tell you for sure.
It's 3 lots. You ain't thinking of
3 lots where these pieces have been relinquished. So even if we needed to obtain right of way, there would be a need to repurchase that. It wouldn't be the size of these parcels. These parcels are actually much bigger than we would normally acquire for a sidewalk right of way. This is more like almost a full 2 lanes, more of traffic right of way. So we would still need to go back and obtain some right of way if we were to build sidewalks there. And I don't know, from our planning and engineering process, I don't know whether they would, target the north side of Cottage Grove Avenue or the south side of Cottage Grove Avenue, or how that would tie in. But
So
All right.
thank you for that clarification. So just a quick follow-up. Is there any way to, again, I realize that there's many other related questions that would go with should a sidewalk go there or not? I'm just wondering, since there's a certain majority of the parcels on the north side of the street that are already owned by a public body, and even if the full entirety of the parcel would not be used for a sidewalk, I'm just trying to get a sense of if there's an opportunity cost that's involved here. If the whole parcel is sold, if at some time in the future, it's like, you know what, it would be valuable to have sidewalks on a street that has none. Just trying to reserve some potential for that, or just trying to get a sense of how to consider that prospect.
Yeah, just talking out loud here, Dave Walter. We could sell these parcels with a easement for a future sidewalk, which means that, well, you couldn't build on that. But if someone wants to put in a garage structure or something, then they just have to be behind that setback line anyway. And I live in this neighborhood. I don't really travel this road. It's way too narrow. And most people are out walking on 11th Street to the north. But I do like the idea that, okay, if we sell these parcels, and then they could be subdivided, you can see there in the center of the block where it's been possible to add a couple more houses. And, again, the houses have established somewhat of a setback line. So if they did put in a sidewalk, it'd be curb and walk right there. So only need 5 feet. So, it's a thought. But then the other question I have is selling to adjacent property owner. Does that mean if I live to the east or west of one of these lots, can I bid on that?
Yeah, you can. It's open.
yeah, anybody actually is able to bid on it. That's the whole point of the public notice, but preference can be given to abutting landowners. They do have to qualify. This is a specific provision. So this isn't quite like our normal offering process. This is a specific provision for abutting landowners for this type of parcel. And so like the requirements are that the abutting landowner actually has to qualify, which means that they're not delinquent on any property taxes. There's not they're not a bad actor in the community in other ways. There's a list of requirements that I don't have specifically before me. In terms of the size of it, my understanding is that this is what it would be needed to meet the minimum lot size to be able to subdivide these, which is the point. I would also point out in terms of Cottage Grove, I think as pointed out, there are sidewalks on 11th Street, but then the B line is also immediately to the south of this area as well and kind of curves around. But
So actually, I have Google Maps up, and there is sidewalk already there along the side that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, I was looking. It looks like there's partial sidewalk. President Kappas, I wasn't sure from the Google Maps either. Is there a sidewalk to the north? Is that
There is.
sidewalk? Okay.
Yep, it is
Thank
sidewalk on the north side. So, Commissioner Myerson, your concerns are alleviated. It's already there.
Awesome. Thank you for that clarification. Like I said, I hadn't thought until Google Maps. I was kind of blowing up the addendum to the motion or to the resolution, and I was trying to see if it was in there, and I was trying to remember from my own time in that neighborhood. Anyway, so thank you for that clarification. And so
no
just to
problem.
confirm from what you're saying, that is a continuous sidewalk? As
It is
opposed to-
it is a
okay.
continuous sidewalk.
As we got all
Now,
kinds in this town, right? So.
yeah, now whether it's been maintained is a different conversation.
Right, but the easement question is at least resolved, even if there's certainly always other questions that can go with the presence
That
of a
is
sidewalk.
that is correct. It does.
you.
The north side wraps all the way around. Yep.
Awesome. Great.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any more questions from commissioners? All right. We'll take this then to the public. Any comments on this resolution? Not seeing any hands. We're going to come back to commission final thoughts and motion. I will say, Commissioner Walter, I had the same thought process that this can be open to anyone. So it's like, other individual, neighbors can go back and forth, but try and bid on these, but that's the nature of the market. So I'm just gonna open it up and see what we can get. With that, I'd entertain a motion for resolution 21-87.
Make a motion to approve resolution 21-87.
Okay.
This is David Walter. I'll second that motion. And hopefully we don't get somebody buying 4 lots and putting a trailer on there.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, I'm sorry, it's derailing. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Let's go to roll call.
Deborah Meyerson, yes.
David Walter, yes.
Nick Kappas, yes. All right, resolution 21-87 has been approved. And may the odds forever be in their favor for that. So now on to item number 7, business general discussion. Anything for the good of the order from staff?
I don't have anything.
Neither do I. Thank you.
Wow. All right. No, you guys did a fantastic job tonight. Thank you for all the hard work by city staff for these resolutions. Anything from commission?
This is David Walter. I'll move we adjourn.
All right.
I'll second that motion.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. It's unanimous. We're done. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Yep.